for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so our opponents started by saying that same benefits based on love and how we should grant gay couples the same benefits that heterosexual couples have. And he also talked about how that would help out the economy. He started saying that it doesn't hurt anyone and that they just want protection for Social Security and some benefits regarding visits, hospital visits, and all of that. And they touched a point that is very important for us, that if you have a strong feeling or love and they are committing a crime, but then we have to talk about what is the boundary between having the feeling and having the right to marry that person. And in a paper published by the Harvard Journal of Law and Public Policy, the author, Sheriff Gurgis, wrote, but if that's the case, that we have to allow based on love solely, then why should other relationships that provide love, companionship, and lifelong commitment not also be recognized as marriage, including relationships between adults and children, or between blood relatives, or between 3 or more adults? So where do we draw the line? And if it violates the equal protection of the laws to deny those homosexuals their first choice of marital partner, why it would not do the same to deny pedophiles, polygamists, or incestuous the right to marry the person or persons of their choice? So this is a double standard. We say that it's a crime for pedophiles to marry the child, but it's not a crime for a gay couple to marry. So we have to be able to draw that line. He also talked about DOMA doing that. And actually, in Wilson's Ferris wake, and this was wrote in a report for Congress by a legislative attorney for the American Law Division. And he said that a same-sex couple sought a declaration that their marriage was valid for federal and Florida law purposes. To issue such a declaration, the court would have to have invalidated both the federal DOMA and the Florida statutes, defining marriage the same way and expressly forbidding courts to recognize same-sex marriages from other states. The Wilson court declined to invalidate any of the relevant statutes, finding 1, DOMA did not violate the full faith and credit clause. 2, the right to marry a person of the same sex was not a fundamental right guaranteed by the due process clause. And 3, homosexuals were not a suspect class warranting strict scrutiny of equal protection claim. And 4, under a rational basis analysis, DOMA did not violate equal protection or due process guarantees. And the Florida statute prohibiting same-sex marriage is constitutional. Moreover, DOMA does not prohibit states from recognizing same-sex marriage if they choose to do so. It's just a federal law saying that they have the right not to do so. He also brought up the traditions and why we wouldn't do that for black couples and all of that. And the thing is, there's a court ruling, and the website of University of Missouri, Kansas City, they talked about that, the right to marry and the Constitution. And actually, it happened. The first state marriage law to be invalidated was Virginia's miscegenation law in Loving versus Virginia. Mildred Jeter, a black woman, and Richard Loving, a white man, have been found guilty of violating Virginia's ban on interracial marriage in order to leave the state. But the court found that Virginia's law to violate the Equal Protection Clause because it individually classified on the basis of race. And in this case, you're not classifying based of race, you're classifying in base of sex. And that's not protected by the Equal Protection Clause. But it also indicated that the law would violate the Due Process Clause as an undue interference with the fundamental freedom of marriage. In this case, a man had the right to marry a woman independently of their race. In this case, they are asking for a special treatment. And we are saying that because that guy is a man and he wants to marry another man, he's asking for special treatment. He also talked about wedding organizations and job creations and how that would help the economy. But if you talked about the costs and the consequences of that and the welfare costs of having gay marriage allowed in the United States, In a paper also published by the Harvard Journal of Law and Public Policy, it was said that in absentee fathers and out-of-wedlock births became common, a trend of social pathologies follows. Naturally, the demand for governmental policy and social services grow. According to a Brookings Institute study, $229 billion in welfare expenditures between 1970 and 1996 can be attributed to the breakdown of the marriage culture and the resulting exacerbation of social ills, teen pregnancy, poverty, crime, drug abuse, and health problems. Sociologists David Popone and Alan Wolf have conducted research on Scandinavian countries that supports the conclusion that as marriage culture declines, state spending increases. So even though we would have that increase in jobs and creation of other areas to help the economy, we would also have a greater loss for our welfare system. And he gave an example of Kim Kardashian and how she spent tons of money in her wedding, but the fact that she put that money in the economy did not make her wedding last. So what is it that you have the money, you were able to spend that money and help the economy, but does not help the tradition of marriage, does not help the institution of marriage by itself. So I am saying that, yes, they are breaking tradition, and tradition is a very important thing in our culture, and they are weakening the institution of marriage by doing so, and it's also very bad for the economy.